Don't retire early. Retire at age 65. It is so much easier. Now, my name is Owen. I'm an advice-only financial planner, a CFP, and I'm the founder of Advice. I've seen well over 1,000 retirement plans, and when you've seen that many retirement plans, you start to notice patterns. One of those patterns is that retiring at age 65 is just significantly easier. If you're trying to retire early, maybe at age 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, and if you're finding that difficult, if you're building a retirement plan and you're trying to retire early and you're finding that difficult to achieve, then I want to show you why retiring at age 65 is just so much easier. This is going to be a two-part video. In part one of this video, we're going to be building a retirement plan. We're going to be building it for a couple who want to retire at age 60 but are finding it difficult. We're also going to explore then an age 65 retirement option. And then the third scenario is going to be an even better version of that age 65 retirement. I'm going to show you why age 65 is so easy to achieve in this particular case. And then in the second part of this video, we're going to look at the reasons why that is. We're going to look at all of the different reasons, and there are a lot of them. We're going to look at all of the different reasons why age 65 is just so much easier to achieve as a retirement goal. Let's first start by building that age 60 retirement plan together. We're going to build that scenario, and then we're going to do the age 65 scenario. Then we're going to do that third scenario at the end that's going to be even better than the age 65 one. Now we're going to start with our example here. So we've got Steve and Alex. Now Steve and Alex are aiming for retirement at age 60. They are admittedly a bit late to retirement planning, so they really started to focus on retirement planning around age 50, started to do low-cost index investing, starting to save more aggressively for retirement. They're currently age 55 and they have been aiming for retirement at age 60. They want to get their mortgage paid off. They want to save up enough to retire. But they're finding it very difficult. They're finding it exhausting, actually. They're finding it very hard to achieve that savings rate, and they don't know whether or not that age 60 retirement is even achievable. So we're going to start by building the age 60 retirement plan for them, and then we're going to come back and take a look at some alternative options in age 65 retirement and why it is so much easier. Now let's start here in the income section. We're going to be using the Advice platform to build this retirement plan. We're going to be using the simple mode here. So in the income section, we selected the simple mode. We're just going to enter in their gross income. So I've got $70,000 for Steve's gross income for the year. And I've got $82,000 for Alex's gross income for the year. So that's all we have to enter here. There's nothing else. They don't have any bonus or other taxable income. Very easy in this case. It's just their gross employment income. Let's go over here to the expenses section. So for expenses, we've got their target expenses pre-retirement. They estimate they're spending about $70,000 a year on personal, miscellaneous, etc. So $70,000 is their target. We're going to carry that forward into retirement. We could split it between Steve and Alex, doesn't really matter. So we've just lumped in $70,000 here under Steve's spending. Now, if we go down here, we can see their contributions. Right now, they're adding to their RSP and TFSA about $500 per month each for each of them. And they are aggressively paying down their mortgage. Again, they want to be mortgage free by the time they retire. That requires double up payments. So their normal payments, $1,000 a month. They've doubled that up to $2,000 a month. They want to get rid of that mortgage by the time they retire. Now here we've got retired at age 60. We're going to go until age 90. So we're doing a bit of an earlier life expectancy here, but age 90 is still a good place to target. In terms of cash flow, we haven't done a detailed cash flow, so we don't have any detail here. So let's skip over to assets. We've got a bit of cash on hand. So we've got about $10,000 in cash on hand between Steve and Alex. We've also got some RSP. So Steve's got about $65,000 in an RSP. Alex has got about $125,000. Again, they're getting caught up on that investing. They just started aggressively at about age 50. We've got TFSA balance, so $80,000 for Steve, $120,000 for Alex, and no non-registered at the moment. They're still catching up on their RSP and TFSA room. We can see here on the right that there's still quite a bit of room that they can get caught up on. They do own a vehicle, and they do have a home. It's a relatively low cost of living location, so $500,000 home, and they've got that mortgage, which we'll take a look at next. So in terms of debt, we've got the mortgage here. We've got $115,000 outstanding, 4.25% interest. And again, they've doubled up on those payments. So they've got $2,000 that they're paying monthly, aiming to get that paid off by the time that they retire at age 60. But again, they're saving a lot. They're paying off the mortgage. It's just a big stretch for them, and they're finding it difficult. Overall net worth, so we've got $390,000 in investment assets, $10,000 in cash, like we saw. Home, $500,000 or so. Low cost of living area. We've got a vehicle, $25,000. Total assets, $925,000. We've got the mortgage, so they've got a net worth of $810,000. A very respectable net worth, and we just want to see how they can leverage that for future retirement. Now, for insurance, we're not so worried about in simple mode. For tax and benefits, we have selected detailed mode. The reason why we've done that is we want to do a more detailed estimate for CPP. So if I close these ones, let's take a look. We've got old age security. We've just entered 47 years in Canada. So they've been in Canada their entire life. That'll give them the full OAS benefit in the future. And then for CPP, we've entered in their pensionable earnings. So if we go down here, we can see the pensionable earnings. Now, I've just plugged in their current salary. Normally what you'd do is you'd go into the Service Canada website and grab your pensionable earnings year by year. The reason why we want to do this is we want to do a detailed estimate. If they retire early, there will be a bunch of zero earning years there. We want to include that. Investment plan, again, we're doing low cost indexed investing. We've got a all-in-one ETF here at about an 80-20 asset allocation. So we've got 20% in bonds, fixed income. We've got 80% in stock equity. We've got 0.25% or so in fees. And we don't have to worry here about the type of return because that only applies to non-registered accounts. So we don't really have to worry about this because Steve and Alex don't have any non-registered assets at the moment. Now that's all we had to enter in the discovery phase. Let's take a look at foundation quickly. So let's take a look at the foundation section. We've got for emergency fund, we don't need to worry about it in simple mode. For debt payoff plan, we could flip to simple, but let's take a look at the detail here. We can see here, if we go to the yearly view, that they are paying it off in 5 years and a bit. So it'll extend into retirement just slightly in 2030 here. They'll have a bit to pay off, but pretty good. So their planning was pretty good in terms of how to pay off that mortgage by the time they retire. For future cash flow, so here we've got their earned income. So this doesn't include investment income yet, just their earned income. So we've got employment income. We've got their CPP starting at age 60, OAS at age 65. But if we look at their spending, they want to spend $70,000 a year. So they do have a lot of white space here that they need to backfill with investment withdrawal. So when we get to projections, we're going to see how the platform backfills all of that investment income to help them hit their spending goal. For CPP and OAS estimate, if they were to start at age 65, we've got about $15,000 per year, but they're choosing to start early because they're retiring at 60. So if they start at age 60, they'd get about $11,000 a year. If they were to start at age 65, they would get $15,000 or so per year. And if they start OAS at 65, they would get about $8,700 a year. Now, this is all in today's dollars. It'll obviously go up with inflation as they move forward. So let's take a look at the projection. Let's take a look at what their plan looks like, at least initially. Now, already we can see we've got some problems here. So we've got a low success rate of 40%. We don't even have 100% plan funded. And so we've got some issues. So let's explore this here together. And let's see why retirement at age 60 is so difficult for them. So we've got their employment income. We saw that in future cash flow. We've got their CPP and old age security. Now we're backfilling the income needs using registered withdrawals, TFSA withdrawals. We can see there's a bit of non-taxable income. So they're getting some GIS benefits over the course of their plan, about $100,000 or so. And overall, not bad in terms of income. They're doing a bit of an RSP meltdown early here. For spending, so we've got their debt payments. We've got their savings and investment contributions. Their spending's a bit higher than the 70 grand. So what the platform's doing is it's looking at their income, their expenses, debt payments, savings, and their taxes, and basically saying, well, there's a bit of extra income there that we haven't accounted for. We can see it if we go down to the table. We can see it here, extra cash flow. So they've done a really good job at estimating their spending. That $70,000 number is pretty darn accurate. There is maybe a little bit extra there after they file their taxes. Maybe they're getting a bit of a tax refund or something like that. But They've done a really good job at estimating their expenses at $70,000 a year. So their retirement spending of $70,000 a year is pretty accurate. So we feel pretty good about that. But we can see here that they've got a shortfall. So already we know we've got some problems. We know the plan funded ratio wasn't 100%. We know now here we've got some shortfalls starting as early as age 84. So that's not looking so good. Now, if we take a look at their net worth, we can see that they go from about 350 in net financial assets after we include debt. By the time they retire, that grows to about 600,000 in net financial assets. But we can see that gets drawn down pretty quickly and they run out around that age 64 mark. They could tap into home equity. They do have that there available, so that's an option. But they're in a bit of a low-cost living area. It's already a smaller home, so downsizing maybe not is an option for them, for Steve and Alex here. Now, what's even worse is if we look at their success rate. So maybe if they hit that 50th percentile, they might be okay until about age 84, 85. But if they have some bad sequence of investment returns, they could run out as early as age 73 here. You can see that a large part of that risk is age 60 to 65. Lots of sequence of returns risk here in terms of their investments. So overall, this is not a great plan. We've got a gap here. We've got a shortfall. We've got a success rate that's quite low. We can see why they were a bit stressed as well, because not only can they not achieve their retirement goal of age 60, but they're also very tight. They're saving a lot. They're putting a lot of money towards their debt. Just a very tight plan if they want to retire in their early 60s. Now let's take a look at an age 65 option. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock this scenario. The reason why I'm going to do that, normally we would copy this scenario, we make changes scenario by scenario, but we know this scenario is not good. We know that Steve and Alex can't aim for this particular scenario. It's just not viable. We're running out of money. We're not at 100% plan funded. So I'm going to lock this. I'm going to lock it because then we can keep this as a bit of a history. We can always compare this against other scenarios within the plan. You can do this as well if you're using the advice platform to build your retirement plan. If you don't have a retirement plan yet, I would highly encourage you to get one started. For just $9 a month or $49 for the year, you can get access to Advice, the software platform, the AI strategies, our community forum for support, discussion, questions, and our bi-monthly webinars. It's such a great value. If you don't have a retirement plan yet, I would highly encourage you to get one started. It's just $9 a month or $49 for the year. Now let's start this by changing their retirement age. So I'm going to go to the profile here. We're going to change their target retirement age to 65. So we're going to see why age 65 is so much easier. We're going to go up here into the income section. We're going to extend that income snapshot. Instead of ending at age 59, we're going to end at age 64. So up to and including age 64 is when their income will go until. Expenses, we're going to change this as well. So we're going to change this financial snapshot to end at 64 to match up with their income. And then here we're going to change this to start at age 65. So now we've got a bit of a shorter retirement period. We're going to also change their expenses here. So remember, they were feeling very tight. With an extra 5 years, we can decrease their mortgage payments. So let's change that back to the $1,000 a month. Let's stop those double up payments that they were doing. Let's leave their savings as is, but let's add that back to their expenses. So this is going to give them a bit more room in their spending. It's going to feel a little bit more comfortable. Even though they have to work a little bit longer, it's going to feel a little bit more attainable. We're also going to carry that forward into retirement. So not only can they spend more before retirement, they can spend more after retirement here as well. So we've got their cash flow, their assets won't change. Debts won't change, except for we're going to change that monthly payment here as well. So we're going to go back to that $1,000 per month. Net worth, no change. Insurance, tax and benefits, no change there either. Investment plan, no change. Let's go into foundation. Debt payoff plan. We can see that it does extend a little bit further here. So we're going a little past that age 65 retirement, but a bit more easier to achieve. So this might be the right thing for Steve and Alex. So we had our age 60 scenario, that's locked. We're going to make a copy of this one. It's going to pull in all the new data from Discovery and Foundation. Now we do need to change their CPP and OAS start. So let's rename this. Let's call it age 65 retirement. We can either use the AI strategies, and maybe let's do that let's filter here on the CPP start age. We could also go up into foundation and do this as well, but let's filter here and find the age 65 start instead of age 60. So let's do that for Steve and Alex. And that's looking quite a bit better already. So we're at 100%, 120% plan funded, 93% success rate. Let's explore what this looks like. So now they're working a little bit longer. We've got their registered assets, which are bigger, so now it's lasting longer. We've got a higher CPP benefit. Let's take a look at their spending. So now it's a bit more reasonable. Now they're spending that $82,000 a year, so that's achievable. That carries forward into retirement, so that's also achievable. So much more comfortable in terms of pre-retirement, post-retirement spending. They're paying off that debt. Does extend a little bit into retirement here. No shortfalls in this scenario. And we're building up those financial assets. So now we're up to $838,000 by the time we retire. So now their peak assets are quite a bit higher. They can draw down those registered assets. They've got the TFSA that lasts quite long. Lots of room to absorb unexpected expenses, long-term care at the end of retirement. 93% success rate as well. So really the chance of running out of money here is quite small. Sequence of returns risk is also quite a bit smaller. So this scenario looks better for many different reasons. But I think we can do even better. So let's make a copy of this. Let's see if we can do even better for Steve and Alex. Now, before we get into the next scenario, make sure you like and subscribe. We're going to be coming out with part 2 of this video, which explores all of the different reasons why age 65 is just so much easier as a retirement age. So let's make a copy of this scenario. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply the 8-year GIS strategy, some of those fundamentals. If you haven't watched that video, we did a previous video on the 8-year GIS strategy. It's just a very effective way in situations like this to qualify for at least some guaranteed income supplement. And so we're going to see whether or not that helps Steve and Alex in this particular scenario. So let's go back into income here. Now within this particular scenario, we're going to stop these registered withdrawals for a few years. So what we're going to go do is we're going to go down into the table here. We're going to scroll all the way to the right and find the 2 RSP accounts. We're going to scroll down until the age 65. So we start withdrawals. We don't want to do that with an RSP meltdown. We want to delay those until age 71. We're going to zero those all out. We're going to force the platform to draw from the TFSA instead. Again, if you want to watch all of the different pieces of this sort of strategy, I'll link to the GIS video in the description for this video. So that's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to come back up here and recalculate. And then we're going to use the AI strategies to improve this option. So let's go down here. Let's reset these filters, check them all except for retirement spending, survivor scenarios. We can come back to those. We're just going to start choosing some of the top strategies here. So we've got CPP at age 70 for Alex. So we're going to implement that one. We're going to recalculate. We recommend doing this one at a time. We recommend using after-tax estate value to evaluate your retirement plan. It's just better because it integrates things like OAS clawbacks, the time value of money, includes tax and factors like that as well. So we like to focus on that rather than lifetime tax or success rate. Now here it says we should probably delay CPP until age 70 for Steve as well. It's going to add $100,000 to the plan. So let's definitely do that. And let's see what this looks like. So here we've got lifetime GIS. We're already up to about $75,000. Now we're at 100% success rate, but there's even more that we can do. So we've got an RSP meltdown that we want to do. So let's enable that one for Steve. Let's see what other recommendations we get. So we're getting an earlier RIF conversion for Alex. That's going to add a little bit to the plan. So let's do that as well. And let's see what else pops up here. Earlier RIF conversion for Steve. So same age. So we're getting a bit of earlier RSP withdrawals, registered withdrawals. And that's it. Now we're at the top strategy. So we've got the same after-tax estate value. There's nothing else we can do here to improve this plan. This looks very good. We've got a lot of money left over in the end. Success rate's 100%. We can actually look at adding some additional spending here. So let's now filter on that retirement spending strategy and let's focus on higher retirement spending. And even with an 80% success rate, so a bit of a reduction, we can add $18,000 a year in early retirement spending until age 75. So let's see what that looks like. Let's see what that extra retirement spending looks like and see what their plan looks like now. So we've got spending that jumps up to $100,000 a year in early retirement until 75, then drops to $82,000 at age 75. Still an 80% success rate with this. So a bit of risk in early retirement, but they can always reduce that discretionary spending. And we know that we have a 100% success rate. So this looks very good for Steve and Alex. And all they've done is they've just pushed out their retirement date a little bit. Now let's look at the compare section. Let's compare all three of these scenarios together. Okay, so let's compare these three scenarios. So we've got age 60, age 65, age 65 plus the GIS strategy. Let's first look at these two. So age 60 versus 65, we were saving more aggressively, so our total net worth was going up a little bit faster. Remember, we were finding a better balance. If we were to delay retirement until age 65, we can spend more pre-retirement and post-retirement. We also have a much better success rate over time. So if I look at the spending here, let's ignore this one for now, just much better spending in the age 65 retirement scenario. So we're spending an extra $12,000 a year, which just feels much more comfortable for Steve and Alex. Now, the cool thing is if we look at the age 65 with GIS strategy, all of a sudden we've unlocked an additional $18,000 a year. So now we're up to $100,000 a year just by delaying retirement until age 65. So we've gone from age 60 to 65 retirement, but we've also increased early retirement spending from $70,000 a year, which wasn't even successful. We were still running out. We still had a gap here at the end. And now we've got $100,000 a year in early retirement spending, and we're still successful. We're still at a very high success rate overall at 80%, and we've got just significantly more lifetime spending than the age 60 retirement scenario. So we've got more than 100% plan funded. We've got a high success rate. We could even boost that to 100% if we just reduce that discretionary extra spending in early retirement. Just an overall better scenario in every single way. So if you're thinking about early retirement, if you're thinking about retiring at age 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, and if you're finding it difficult to make that plan work, I would highly encourage you to explore an age 65 retirement scenario. Yes, it might be a few years later. It might not be your exact goal retirement date, but it might be a better balance both in spending, success rate, all of the other factors within the plan. Age 65 is just such an easier age to retire at, and there's multiple different reasons why that's the case. Now, in the second part of this video, we're going to be going through all of those different reasons using this case study. I'm going to highlight for you why age 65 ended up being so much easier for Steve and Alex to retire at. So make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss that second video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the next one.